Hi, my name is Tamer Odeh. I'm the Regional Director for SentinelOne, Middle East, Turkey, and Africa. So XDR as a trend has a lot of meanings. You ask different CISOs what they think of XDR, and you'll have different interpretations of it, but the one common denominator is about automation and orchestration and looking at events from an incident side rather just from a risk and a compliance side. So what we have been preaching about is utilizing the different technologies within an enterprise, within an environment to collaborate together, although they're in silo, but to collaborate together in an automatic fashion to prevent attacks very early on and automate the responses either by recommendation or automatic workflow processes. So yes, so identity within SentinelOne came through an acquisition. So we acquired a company called Ativo, the leader in the identity space. And when we talk about identity here, you know, identity is a big space within the IT firms. You have privileged access management, you have two-factor authentication or authorization. But here what we're talking about in identity is identity threat detection and response, which is basically not only protecting the who, because in the endpoint space where we were, we protected the devices, but here we're protecting the identity of the individual. We're protecting the people, one of the parameters that we have that we need to protect. And what we have seen also is a lot of breaches do start from credential theft and privilege escalation. So we said, why don't we shift left? Why don't we move further at the beginning of the kill chain cycle and try to protect the individuals who are sometimes our weakest link from the breaches. Whenever we do a protection there and we detect any vulnerabilities or detect any compromise of an identity, together from what we identify from the endpoint, we collaborate the two and we provide that information into our Singularity platform, into our XDR, and we automate the response. Well, as we mentioned, the identity is going from one place to the other and the devices are following them. But sometimes you could be using a mobile, sometimes you could be using a terminal at a coffee shop or somewhere else at a different environment or a different workplace. But the individual and the identity that uses that logs in is the same. So we do our level best to protect that identity. So attackers are going to try to use that identity to pretend that they are that individual and pretend that they have the access into those resources. Once we do that, once we detect that there is a breach or detect there is a compromise of an identity, we start luring attackers and fooling them by putting decoys in the network and putting fake credentials for them to start understanding and analyzing their behavior. Once we analyze their behavior, we add that analysis to the analysis of what we discover at the endpoint, and we combine that with other tools, like whatever we learn from email, whatever we learn from a network detection or response. All of that is correlated, aggregated, summarized for an incident responder or a SOC analyst, and they take action based on our prescription or our recommendation.